Hey there, Ryan Walmsley, American Pacific Mortgage. Wanted to catch you up on what's happening in the interest rate markets and the housing markets today. Today's March 21st, 2023, and a lot has happened since my last video, so I wanted to catch you up on where we're at. It's no secret that interest rates are higher than what everybody's been used to. However, that does create an opportunity for buyers in this market, and let me show you how. So we do know that inflation is on its way down. We saw inflation peak last year, and it's been coming down consistently, and that trend is expected to continue. As we watch the CPI, which is the headline inflation news, we have been seeing that numbers steadily improve. And one item that we need to watch closely in CPI is the housing and shelter costs. And the reason why we want to look at shelter is because it makes up a huge portion of the CPI. It's actually gone from 39% to a 43% of core CPI, and this is a big indicator to the Fed on what they should be doing with raising the federal funds rate to combat inflation. And inflation is actually what drives mortgage rates. So as the Fed's fighting inflation, they're actually helping mortgage rates. And with shelter costs, we do see that there is a lag here. So going back to January of 2022, rents and owner equivalent rents were starting to peak. And that's basically what we're seeing here in these real-time shelter cost readings that are taken by a survey. But the challenge with the surveys is that they might be speaking to someone here who actually signed their lease, 12 months earlier. So there's a lag in that reporting, but there's even a more of a lag to what CPI reports, and it's kind of like a roller coaster here, where we see the front end of the roller coaster coming over the crest, and it's starting to come down, but that backside of the roller coaster is still heading up, and that's what we see. Real-time shelter costs versus shelter costs in the CPI. And going back to this chart here, this pinkish line being the real-time shelter costs, and then we see what CPI is doing in the year-over-year changes, and there's a big lag. So we do see shelter costs coming down sharply and only coming in year-over-year at 3% right now, but we're still seeing the shelter costs and CPI increasing because of this lag effect. Now, as we move forward in time, we're likely to see the same type of rollover in CPI, and it's most likely within the next couple of months we're going to see this. And as CPI rolls over, we're going to see mortgage interest rates follow suit. And we actually can calculate this. The difference between the two is 4.9%, and that is essentially 2% difference. So if we were looking at shelter costs in the core CPI, we're actually at 3.5% versus 5.5, which is being reported in the headline news. So we know that this is going to catch up. It's just a matter of time, and when it starts actually hitting the CPI data. So we know that inflation is under control, and it's going to improve in the months coming. So what is that going to mean to our home prices? What is it going to mean to buyers who are wanting to purchase and sellers looking to list their homes? Well, let's take a look at home inventory to see what we're up against. So, there's a lot of talk that there's a bubble, and we're repeating history going back to the Great Recession, but that's just simply not the case. If we look back to 2007, when the Great Recession crisis started, there was 4 million homes available, existing inventory. We had way more homes than people needed, and that is essentially what caused the crash, along with mortgage underwriting that was not on the up and up. If you could fog up a mirror, you could get a mortgage. It's definitely not like that anymore. Underwriting standards are very strict, and everything is documented. You can't just walk in and get a loan just because you can fog up a mirror, so to speak. But where are we at today? We're at an existing inventory level of less than 1 million homes. So we went from 4 million homes in 2007 to less than 1 million in 2023. So let's take a look at really what the existing home inventory is, because it's not exactly what you hear in the news. So existing home inventory can be shown here as, this is the headline news, 980,000 homes available. But of that 980, 402 are under contract at this moment in time. So that actually leaves us with a real inventory of 578,000, even less than what the headline news is saying. So what can we expect if there's very little homes on the market, but still we have buyer demand coming in at a very consistent level? Well, we can expect home prices to continue to appreciate. And these numbers are national numbers, but specifically for the Phoenix metro area, we're seeing this same type of reduction in inventory that has been pretty consistent for the last 2 years, 3 years certainly, but even going back further in time, back in to the beginning of 2010 era. So as we look at these numbers specifically for the Phoenix market, we can see that the median list price is increasing. And basically what median list price says is that half of the homes on the market are listed below 550 and the other half of the homes are listed above 550. So as we have median list price increasing, that just means that more homes are being listed above 550. Then that would increase the level of median home price. But I think more importantly to watch is the price per square foot. That's giving us a real time on what square footage of a home is versus the price that it's giving. So we're seeing an increase here in price per square foot, and at the same time we're seeing a sharp reduction in inventory again, leading us to believe that home prices are going to be supported. We're not going to see a crash, and that is just indicative of supply and demand economics, where we have demand outpacing supply, so we can expect home prices to be supported. And just looking at active home listings, active existing home listings in the US, we do see that we have these consistent ups and downs, and these are basically seasonal as we go in and out of winter, spring, summer. And then we can see here, this gray bar is the COVID recession. We saw a huge drop off in active listings, but we also saw a surge in demand during this time period because of artificially low interest rates. So this is the period where we saw huge gains in home appreciation because the demand was so much higher than the existing supply. We did see a rebound in the beginning of, or at the end of 22 and the beginning of this year, and we're starting to see that those inventories levels come down again. So this could be for a number of reasons. Obviously, interest rates are higher, which is tamping down demand, but it's also sellers who have 2 and 3% interest rates not wanting to list their homes. So there's fewer and fewer homes on the market and higher interest rates. So we're starting to see this reduction in activity. But as mortgage interest rates come down, that's going to present a new market for us. And what is that going to look like? So if we have buyers sitting on the sidelines because of higher interest rates, then they're waiting, let's say they're waiting for the bottom. They're trying to time the bottom, which is a very difficult thing to do. But you really don't know a bottom is hit until after we're out of it and we're starting to come up on the upswing. But what happens when that happens? Well, sellers become more confident, they're less fearful, and they're less likely to negotiate because there's more competition from buyers in the market. Lower interest rates make it easier to qualify for homes, and sellers have the benefit of choosing from different offers that they receive. So when is the best time to be out there shopping as a buyer? Well, it's before the bottom of the market hits, and we can see, sellers are more fearful. There's less competition, and you're getting in pretty much right before the bottom. Again, we can't time that, but it's better to get in before because you have the opportunity for concessions from the seller, less competition, more negotiating power. And let's take a look and see what happened in the last market bottom. So here we bottomed out in around February of 2012 in the last cycle, and then we saw this huge increase in appreciation of about 8% over that next year. And this is even with 2.4 million homes in inventory on the market. So what can we expect here, having 980,000 homes on the market? Is very much less homes on the market versus this. So can we expect an 8% increase in appreciation? That wouldn't be out of the question. But even if we looked at a lower appreciation estimate, the benefit is still there to be buying in a higher interest rate environment for a buyer. And let's take a look at a specific scenario. So let's assume a home value of $500,000 and a mortgage amount of $400,000, just to keep the math simple. Let's assume that interest rates have risen about 1% since the beginning of the year. That would make the monthly increase on a 30-year mortgage about $257 more. Let's just say the increase over the year is $3,084. So we know that sellers are offering discounts. In the Phoenix market specifically, about 50% of the contracts have at least $9,000 worth of seller concessions. Some have much more, some a little bit less, but $9,000 is a lot to work with, and that's an opportunity to help with the buyer's interest rate buy down, whether it be temporary or permanent, or even a discount in the list price. There's different advantages to either of those, but let's just assume the seller is willing to give a 2% discount on this property. So that's $10,000 in savings up front, and then using an estimated 3% appreciation rate over the next year, which is very conservative if we're looking at the inventory levels and what happened previously in the last market cycle. So let's assume this conservative 3% estimate is $15,000 in appreciation. Well, we're likely to see interest rates come down because of inflation, and then that's going to present a refinance opportunity for buyers. And let's just say we account for the cost of a refinance plus the additional payment that you have here. So let's just, for a round number, let's just say it's $5,000 to refinance and have that higher rate for a short period of time. Well, in just 1 year, you're looking at a total benefit of $20,000, and that's a pretty good incentive for a buyer to get in there and not sit on the fence and wait for the bottom of the market. Because again, if they do, then you're looking at sellers being less fearful, having more offers to choose from, potentially having multiple offer situations with bidding wars coming back. These are all realistic given the inventory situation, and it should not be ignored. This is definitely the opportunity that a lot of buyers have been waiting for, to get these seller concessions, be able to put low down payments, use VA financing, use FHA financing, use down payment assistance. Because once we enter into a market where sellers are getting good conventional offers with large down payments, they're more likely to take those. And I don't want to see any buyers miss out on this opportunity, which is this window is closing quickly. Now, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. You can call or text me on this number here. You can email me at my apmortgage.com email address. You can go to my website, download our mobile app at mywayhomeloanaz.com, and feel free to go to my Facebook page, follow me there, and if you just want to like and subscribe this video, I'm on YouTube and you can keep up with me there. So look forward to talking to you, and have a great year.